Ryan is a man down on his luck with gambling. He is falling into a spiral of despair. His debts keep piling up, and his career as a chef is not as successful as it should be. Ryan doesn't know where to get the money to pay off his massive debt. Suddenly, an old friend from culinary school invites him to South America. Wanting a temporary escape from his problems, Ryan decides to fly into the dense jungle. Upon arrival, his old friend, Jack, sends a driver to pick him up with a letter of apology for not being able to welcome him personally. But Jack guarantees that Ryan will enjoy his stay at the villa. Soon enough, Ryan arrives at a luxurious mansion surrounded by beautiful gardens. He steps inside and finds that this place has everything anyone could ever dream of: a huge house, fine wine, and expensive ingredients. Being a chef, Ryan starts cooking for himself before enjoying his luxurious dinner amidst the spectacular view from the poolside terrace. The next morning, Ryan meets Jack. They talk, and Jack tells Ryan that he has traveled to many places, including Italy and Turkey, Spain, and the Balkan Peninsula, because Jack works for a catering company in Slovenia that often sends him to luxurious locations to find special ingredients to cook for wealthy clients. However, this group of clients demands extremely exotic food. The next day, Jack takes Ryan to a nearby town. They spend time in a small restaurant and talk about their personal lives. Both are single, with no commitments. The only difference is that Jack has never had financial problems, like Ryan. After eating for a while, they meet Alice, an Australian woman, traveling the world alone. When Alice learns that they are both chefs, she challenges them to a competition to see who is the superior chef. The two men let Alice be the judge since it was her idea. Back at the villa, both chefs cook for Alice to taste. It turns out that Ryan is the winner. Afterwards, they go for a swim and talk on the terrace. Alice notices a little tension between the two men regarding a watch which Ryan had lost to Jack in a bet, and Jack refuses to return it. That night, Alice sleeps in Jack's room, which makes Ryan feel a bit uneasy. The next morning, Ryan receives a text message warning him that he has 3 days to find the money to pay his debt. Then, Ryan goes to the kitchen and finds Jack. Jack says he just dropped Alice off at a hotel in town and needs to go out for more groceries. After Jack leaves, Ryan finds Jack's laptop still open and unlocked. Curious, Ryan checks his bank account and discovers that Jack has nearly £2 million. When Jack returns, they relax by the pool. Ryan notices that Jack seems troubled, but he only complains about his own life. The next morning, Ryan finds that Jack has killed himself. In a panic, Ryan brings the body down and wraps it in plastic. He then tries to open Jack's laptop, but doesn't know the password. However, Ryan finds a wallet with a bank card inside. He tries calling the bank to ask for the password, but the bank asks him to handle the matter at their London office. Ryan then searches the internet and hires an expert to make a fake driver's license in Jack's name. Ryan then books a plane ticket to London, but then he receives another threatening message from his creditor, saying that if Ryan doesn't find the money within 2 days, his mother will be harmed. That night, Ryan dumps Jack's body in a well before trying to borrow money from acquaintances, but no one will help him because everyone knows that Ryan usually spends all his money on gambling. Back at the villa, Ryan sees a car parked in front of the house. They are officers from the catering company Jack works for. One of them is Imogen, an English woman, and Morris, a Colombian man. Since Jack has never worked in Latin America before, neither of them knows what he looks like. In a panic, Ryan pretends to be Jack and shows that he is a professional chef. Ryan asks for an advance payment, but Imogen immediately transfers him $50,000. Ryan is shocked. He quickly transfers the money to his creditor. Then Imogen asks if he has checked the ingredients needed for the event. Ryan admits he hasn't prepared anything as he doesn't speak Spanish. So Imogen takes him into town. And Ryan learns the shocking truth. He has to find 2 people to be the main ingredients for tonight. Imogen suggests choosing victims from a group of churchgoers because they are likely to be healthy and drug-free. Ryan is so shocked, he can't do anything. His hesitation annoys Imogen. She warns Ryan that if he doesn't do his job well, he will certainly be killed. Late at night, Ryan packs his things and tries to escape the house, but When he goes down to the hall, he finds that Imogen and Morris are still there. Imogen says that this dinner cost $1.5 million, which is not expensive at all compared to the organization's profits. They kill an average of 75 people a year and return 10% of the revenue to the local community to develop infrastructure, the economy, as well as clean water and quality food. Imogen proudly states that there is no other company in the world that makes this much profit while also helping the local population. She compares it to the oil industry, which has 150 deaths per year, while livestock farms have no less than 250. And when it comes to drivers or roofers, there's no telling how high the numbers go. Imogen advises Ryan to think carefully. Right now, he has no other choice but to go back to bed and get ready for tomorrow. The next morning, Ryan heads to town with Morris. They choose 2 women as their targets and follow them to a run-down neighborhood. However, their victims soon disappear mysteriously. Ryan and Morris park the car and start looking around. Suddenly, a young man from a garage approaches them. Morris glances at Ryan. He nods in agreement. Then Morris asks the mechanic to check under the car, claiming he heard a strange noise. The mechanic receives a handsome tip, so he immediately gets down to check. Suddenly, Ryan starts the car, and the sound of the engine drowns out the gunshot Morris uses to take care of the victim. Meanwhile, a police officer approaches, with the 2 women who were being followed. Morris quickly kicks the mechanic's body under the car. Then he explains that they are representatives of a company scouting the area to build a hotel. The police officer asks to see their documents. After checking, the officer lets them go. The 2 quickly stuff the body into the car and decide to cancel the search for the next victim because the police are now suspicious of them. Back at the villa, Morris helps Ryan drag the young man's body to the butchering room before leaving Ryan to his work. Ryan is both terrified and disgusted, but musters his courage. He butchers the body piece by piece. Then, Imogen comes in and says one of the dishes a client requested is tongue sashimi. She watches Ryan work professionally. Seeing that he is doing well, she is relieved and contacts the client to let them know everything is ready. Meanwhile, Morris informs Ryan that a letter has arrived for him. Ryan takes a shower to calm himself before opening the letter and finds the fake driver's license he ordered. Seizing the opportunity, Ryan grabs his luggage and drives away from the villa. But in his haste, Ryan hits the gardener before crashing into a rock, which stalls the engine. Morris rushes over and warns him that there is nowhere in the world he can run. The organization can find him anywhere. Ryan tries to vent his guilt to Morris, but Morris doesn't understand what he's saying. He only knows that Ryan will receive handsome compensation and has friendly colleagues. As far as Morris can remember, only one person has ever left this organization, a female chef named Greta. She refused all her wages in exchange for the opportunity to meet the big boss. A month later, Greta sent a letter from Mallorca saying she got a new job as a chef for a wealthy family. Hearing that, Ryan feels a glimmer of hope. He returns to the kitchen and focuses on creating a special menu. Imogen is very pleased with his food. Soon, the first group of guests arrives and is taken to the terrace. Suddenly, a police car pulls up to the front door. Imogen tells her men to open the door and welcome Detective Ruiz, who enters with his partner and asks to see the owner of the house. Imogen claims the owner is not home. She explains there's a party tonight for investors interested in building a hotel. Ruiz shows her a photo of his nephew, named Joss. His nephew has disappeared, and someone saw Joss talking to 2 American men a few hours ago. Imogen pretends not to recognize him and says that Morris is not here. Ruiz then says that in that case, he will wait to see Morris. Imogen tries to change the subject by questioning why they are so sure that Joss has disappeared. Perhaps he is traveling or on an adventure somewhere. But Ruiz insists that Joss would never do that because tomorrow is his daughter's baptism ceremony. Ruiz then asks to speak with the other American man, so Imogen takes him to the kitchen. Upon seeing the police, Ryan says he is not a chef but an architect. Ruiz, who is interested in architecture, starts asking him about the hotel's structure. Ryan answers hesitantly. Ruiz then shows the photo of Joss to Ryan. Ryan pretends to be shocked and says that the person in the photo looks like his friend who just passed away. However, He has never met this man before. Then Imogen comes in to help him lie. Although Ruiz feels that something is amiss after seeing Ryan's cooking, he can't help but be impressed, even though he thinks the meat smells strange. Imogen uses this opportunity to warn all the guests at the party. Meanwhile, Ruiz tastes Ryan's food and compliments how delicious it is. He even says that Ryan knows nothing about being an architect, but cooks like a top chef. Then Imogen pulls Ryan aside to scold him because his lying skills are terrible. At that moment, the other guests begin to arrive at the party, so Imogen rushes out to greet them while Ruiz goes to question Morris. Morris denies ever having seen Jaws. Ruiz starts to think about Imogen's words about going on an adventure, because locals often go missing, about 2 people a year. Then, those people often send messages back to their acquaintances saying that they went on an adventure unintentionally. Before long, Joss actually sends a message to Ruiz. He feels it's too much of a coincidence. Ruiz goes straight to the guests at the party and shows them Joss's photo. The guests are all confused and say they just arrived and don't know anything. Then they invite Ruiz to join them for a meal. Meanwhile, at the door, someone is asking for Jack. When Imogen goes to see, she finds Alice. She deflects and tries to get Alice to leave, but Alice takes a moment when Imogen is distracted to walk straight into the kitchen. When she hears Imogen call Ryan Jack, she becomes suspicious. Ryan tries to explain that the real Jack decided to go home suddenly, so he had to take his place. Meanwhile, the sergeant who came with Detective Ruiz excuses himself to go home to his family. Alice starts to question what is happening, as does Ruiz, who tries to get information from the guests. When Alice sees blood staining the soup ladle, she wonders what on earth Ryan is cooking. Ryan tries to ask Alice to leave, but she doesn't listen to him. She doesn't believe that Jack has gone home, especially when she sees that Ryan is wearing Jack's watch. She panics immediately. Alice rushes back to her car, but it won't start. Morris then walks over to help her. Meanwhile, Detective Ruiz is chewing on Joss's flesh with relish. He likes this dish very much and wants to personally thank the chef who created it. As for Ryan, he tells Imogen that he wants to meet the boss and intends to do it the way Greta did in the past. When Imogen hears this, she is a little shocked. She says that, in truth, Greta didn't leave the organization. She was served as a meal instead. When Ryan hears that, he knows immediately that he can never get out of this business. Then Ryan walks to the dining table. Ruiz asks him what this delicious meat is. Ryan says it's a special pig with his secret sauce, and the next dish to be served is tongue sashimi. Ryan returns to the kitchen and finds that the tongue he had saved has completely rotted. Suddenly, Alice comes in to say goodbye. She says her car won't start, so Morris has volunteered to take her to her hotel. A moment later, the special dish is served at the dining table. Ryan has secretly sent a text to Ruiz to ask to meet him in the bathroom. Ruiz meets Ryan and learns the truth. He has just eaten Joss's flesh. Ruiz feels nauseous and vomits immediately. He tries to compose himself and returns to the dining table. Ruiz excuses himself to leave because he has all the information he needs. Ruiz pretends to walk out to his car and sneaks back into the butchering room. There, he finds Alice's body with her tongue cut out. Ryan tells Ruiz that this mysterious organization is hidden all over the world. They procure and cook human flesh for the rich to eat. Then he takes out Joss's head to show him. Ruiz almost vomits again. Ruiz says he forgot his phone in the kitchen, so Ryan volunteers to get it, with Ruiz secretly following him from a distance. But, upon entering the house, Ryan is called over by the guests. Everyone applauds him for a flawless meal. Then Ryan goes to get Ruiz's phone from the kitchen, but suddenly Imogen blocks his way. As for Ruiz, he returns to the butchering room to wait for Ryan and examine Alice's body, but Morris runs into him by chance and coldly kills Ruiz with a saw, without him even having a chance to react. When Ryan returns to the butchering room, he finds Ruiz's body. He realizes that there is no way to escape from this. Ryan and Morris help each other destroy the evidence while Imogen writes a fake letter from Joss to send to his wife, claiming that Joss is on his way to Boggart. The next morning, Imogen praises Ryan's cooking skills and says that he is going to be filthy rich before implanting a tracking device in his neck. She sends Ryan back to London and orders him to prepare for the next mission in Africa. Ryan arrives at the airport and meets a fellow traveler. When the man learns how high the pay is for the work Ryan does, he immediately becomes envious. Ryan smiles before introducing himself. "My name is Jack," and that's how the movie ends. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss an update. Thank you.